What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a showcase of my brand new rank 4 7-star Nico Minoru. I took her up to rank 4 after 9.3 exploration. I threw a Saga Awakening gem into her, and she is so legit. I'm sure you're all very aware of how powerful Nico is at this point. She's a bit of a dual threat as well, kind of a difficult defender in the right situation. But the amount of control that she has, especially regarding some of the most potent cosmic defenders in the entire game, that buff immunity and how she controls the entire matchup by preventing any of those buffs from triggering. And even against Dark Phoenix specifically, if she were to throw a special one, you have the Halt passive, which is going to prevent her from reacting to the unstoppable hits. So she's just so legit. The poison damage is really consistent. She has that nice Fury. There you go, Halt preventing the unstoppable, just the buff immunity going crazy there. I think the Halt itself is only going to be useful if the unstoppable actually would trigger. So that would mean the buff immunity would need to not be there. Because I'm pretty sure the buff immunity is just preventing the passives from triggering in replacement of their buff counterparts. So, yeah, good correction on my end there. But 49 seconds for Dark Phoenix, it's about as good as it gets when it comes to a Dark Phoenix counter. She's incredibly fast. I think she's only rivaled by probably Spiral in terms of time for Dark Phoenix and consistency, but she's definitely safer for Dark Phoenix because Spiral still has to deal with turning off the immortality with the dancing blades, and sometimes that can be kind of a tricky situation to be in, but Spiral is still super good for Dark Phoenix. Whereas Nico just shuts it off from the get-go by having that buff immunity debuff on the opponent at all times, using the pre-fight to apply it at the beginning of the fight, maybe throw one special one to ensure that you're able to refresh it early, and then build up to your special 2 once the opponent has triggered a couple of buffs to grant yourself the power from the buffs being prevented by the buff immunity debuff. I'm saying buff and debuff a lot. But now we have Serpent, and again, it's just sort of the same story here. Stack up those poisons, build up to that special 2, special 1. Make sure you have the buff immunity active at all times to prevent Serpent's death immunity. And there you go, 51 seconds for Serpent. Both of those fights that I just showed you were with the pre-fight unworthy active, which means you place the buff immunity debuff at the start of the fight. Now I'm showing you a Serpent fight. This is a higher health Serpent without the unworthy passive at the start of the fight. Just to simulate a questing situation or potentially a situation in war where you don't have access to that pre-fight, because there's only one fight use per pre-fight. So once you use the pre-fight, you cannot use it again until you're in a new quest or in a new environment. So now we've built up to the special 2, and again, it really doesn't matter. Like, the pre-fight at the beginning is nice, but it's not 100% necessary, because as you can see, Nico has 97% health, Serpent has no buffs right now, all of his Fury and power gain is gone, and I'm gaining health from the Adrenaline when Serpent misses me, and also from the Fear debuff that he places on the special 1. Additionally, I can Dex Serpent special attacks because there is no true focus buff to prevent my dexterity, so Nico can get around that part of Serpent's mechanics just fine. Go for a full combo here, let the poisons do their thing, and there drops a much bigger Serpent without the pre-fight in just over a minute. Another fantastic matchup for Nico. Again, she kind of takes care of the most potent, relevant cosmic defenders, is Deathless Thanos. So this is a matchup where the Hulk is going to be like the major player and sort of allowing you to do what you do in this matchup with Nico. Because Deathless Thanos, as we all know, goes unstoppable quite a bit. Halt prevents unstoppable opponents from truly being unstoppable. You know, like, they're not going to shrug off those hits. They're going to be hit as if they were not unstoppable. Just like how slow works, just like how grit works, but grit is a buff. Halt is like a grit debuff, because slow is a debuff, so it's not, I mean, it's kind of the same thing, but slow also has more properties to its utility. Halt is just a pure unstoppable prevention debuff slash passive, and it's fantastic. The fact that it's a passive as well is so strong. It allows you to use it in situations where there's potential debuff immunity. Now, of course, Nico's not going to have access to the buff immunity debuff if you're in a debuff immune situation. But if you just need the Halt for whatever reason and Nico is your best option, well, there you go. You've got that passive Halt right there for you. 54 seconds for Deathless Thanos, just cruising along here. Now, again, this is going to be another matchup where I am showing how to ramp Nico without using the Unworthy at the start. So I found for Dark Phoenix, I'd like to go for 2 heavy attacks right off the bat to get some Fury passes built up. And by the time I bait one single heavy attack, I have just enough power from all of the moves and block hits that I took to go for a special 2 right after I bait her heavy attack. So now we have the buff immunity active. Now Dark Phoenix cannot gain any of her buffs. We have so many poisons, so even if she were to throw a special attack, and I could not remove any of the Nova Flame charges on me, as you can see the timer going down, it doesn't matter because of all the poisons that are active on Dark Phoenix. Using my Relic to heavy cancel into special 2s, I have a rank 2 7-star Awakened Destroyer Relic on Nico. I got very lucky and awakened this Destroyer Relic after I had taken it to rank 2. So we have a lot of increased block proficiency as well as an increased armor, and armor is also going to prevent damage taken on block. So that was a much bigger Dark Phoenix taken care of in a minute flat by Nico without the pre-fight. Now I'm going to show you the biggest Dark Phoenix, over 1 million health here, 1.4 million to be exact. This is like knocking on the door of seasonal Everest content, just Everest content in general, you know, stuff like Eternity of Pain, Epoch of Pain, things like that. 1.4 million is knocking on the door of that health pool. It's like just shy of it. If it was like 1.6, 1.7, then it would be pretty much exact 1 for 1. But this is essentially a Labyrinth of Legends Dark Phoenix, if you want to look at it like that. I'm throwing a special 1 at the start of the fight here to refresh the buff immunity, as I did use the pre-fight here for the long fight. Now I'm baiting Dark Phoenix's heavy attack, going for my special 2, placing those poisons, reapplying the buff immunity, even though with the Awakened ability, you pause and refresh the duration of your buff immunity when you throw the special attacks. As you can see, paused and refreshed. Just throwing the special 2 for the extra poison debuffs is nice. So, you're seeing poison passives and poison debuffs on Dark Phoenix. The poison passives come from buffs being prevented from the buff immunity, and that's from the SIG. The poison debuffs are from Nico's special 2, just the sort of thunderstorm hits after she throws her little wand into the air and then drops the lightning. That's where the poison debuffs come from. So, the Awakened ability, it grants poison passives when buffs are prevented. And additionally, every time you would miss a hit, you, while you have that special 1 miss active, you gain a portion of your health back as adrenaline, which means you can net gain health if your Nico is high enough SIG and you've built up enough adrenaline from taking missed hits after the special 1. And then, of course, as I already mentioned, the signature ability allows you to refresh the duration of that buff immunity and pause your debuff effects during your special attacks. 1.4 million health Dark Phoenix in 90 seconds. So, the final basic showcase I'm going to have here is 2 Hulkling fights. This is a small Hulkling, like a Battleground simulated Hulkling, without the pre-fight, without the Unworthy pre-fight. We're just going straight for the special 2 here at the start of the fight. Now, I got a little overzealous and I threw a special 1 right as I would have gotten enough power to toss my special 2, but it's honestly no problem. I get to net gain some health from the adrenaline from the Awakened ability, so I gained a little bit of that block damage I took at the beginning of the fight back. And now we have the buff immunity active. Hulkling cannot get any of his buffs now, so long as that debuff stays active. Go for a little heavy into special 1. I really like that combo with Nico. Heavy attack into the Relic, and then a heavy attack from the Relic into either a special 1 or a special 2. And as you can see, even without the pre-fight accelerating the loop here, Hulkling just got completely annihilated in 49 seconds. Now, let's fight a bigger Hulkling with the pre-fights. So, in matchups like Dark Phoenix, Serpent, Thanos, Maestro, any matchup where you're using Nico just one time, you obviously want to put on that buff immunity debuff at the start of the fight from the pre-fight selection. But you also want to put the Stimulate, which allows you to get more adrenaline from blocked hits. Because if you do end up taking some blocked hits, you're going to get more adrenaline from the damage you would take, and that just means more health to gain and more benefits from potentially healing enough adrenaline back to gain your Fury passives. So now that we've started the fight with the buff immunity, Hulkling is maxed out on those acid burns. So another great thing about Nico is if a cosmic opponent is immune to poison, she replaces all of her poisons with acid burn. Additionally, if you're using Nico just in general, there's a pre-fight that will allow you to transfer your poisons into incinerates. Now, the incinerates do a little bit reduced damage, but regardless, you can use Nico in so many different avenues, in so many different situations. You can become immune to poison and rupture with another pre-fight. So let's say you wanted to fight an immortal abomination. Well, you put on the poison rupture immunity pre-fight, and then you put on the incinerate pre-fight, and now you're dealing damage while being immune to all of the effects that abomination would be trying to place on you as a defender. So she's just ridiculous. She's so wonderful. I'm so happy to finally have her. I really needed another strong Mystic champion added to my Mystic roster, and I can't wait to use her going forward. So I've got one more clip to show you. It's about to happen like in the next 10 seconds, so be on the lookout for that. Thank you for watching, and enjoy this final clip.